All right. Let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakudash. Welcome to another live lesson.
All right.
The name of this one is History and the Scriptures. And pretty much this is, when we deal with the topic of history, history is very vast. And, we just try to consolidate to the best of our ability certain events that tie into the scriptures, with different, with the secular history, like Elder Apostle Tahar always says, you can't understand certain scriptures or prophecies if you don't understand secular history. Okay. For some reason, let me know if you brothers can hear me, because it's saying that this program that I was using was disconnected, but it's saying it's connected back. So I just want to make sure. Yeah, right now what it's doing, it seems like it's called to. Okay, all right, the water. All right, so we're gonna deal with that. The water, brothers. We're gonna deal with that. But before we get into the lesson, I just want to make a couple announcements. You have here on this page, GMS Gilo on the streets. This is Elder Sakaran's page. I put it in the description box. I put a whole bunch of links in the description box. And you brothers that haven't subscribed to the Elder's page, trying to get the brother up to 1,000 subscribers. He didn't ask me to do this. I'm doing this, on my own. This is something, so he can get. I mean, he did go live today on Mobizin, but with those different programs, sometimes you can't see the comments. So if we could get the brother or the elder up to 1,000 subscribers, that way, he can go live, on YouTube through his phone if he would desire. The next page is Israel Has Risen. This is Elder Tazadakba's page. He has 557 subscribers. Lord's will, could get the elder's page up to 1,000 subscribers, so he could also go live if he desires. And last but not least is the brother Yashalom from the GMS New York camp, GMS Watchman. He's not able to upload on his page for about a week. He opened up a new page, GMS Watchman 2, but you still can't see anything up yet. So if you don't see the brother uploading here, he's supposed to be uploading videos to the new channel, which I couldn't find. It's called GMS Watchman 2. But I don't know if it's because it's new, it ain't showing up. And maybe when the brother starts putting videos on it, it'll show up. But nevertheless, we'll keep you abreast of the situation, Lord's will. All right, so now let's get into it. The Nabateans. Who were the Nabateans? So we go here, Nabateans. The Nabateans, also Nabateans, compare ancient Greek, blah, 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 were an Arab people who inhabited northern Arabia and the southern Levant in antiquity. So these people were an Arab people. Now we know that the Arabs, for the most part, are what? These Arabs of the Arab world that had an empire, which they used the religion of Islam to conquer. We know that for the most part, they were Ishmaelites. Okay, and the Ishmaelites come out of the loins of Abraham. Not out of the loins of Edom. All right, now you did have some Edomites like the Ottoman Turks that were Edomites that converted to the religion of Islam. All right, and this whole nonsense of the Edomites being an Arab is total nonsense. But let's go real quick to the book of Genesis 16:11. It says, "And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son." This is dealing with Hagar, the mother of Ishmael. "And shall call his name," what? Ishmael, "because the Lord hath heard thy affliction." Now, when we look up the word Ishmael, or the name Ishmael, comes from the Hebrew Yashemai Allah, which means he has heard of the power. Right? Yashemai Allah, right? Ishmael, God will hear, or the Most High has heard, or he has heard of the Most High, son of Abraham and Sarah's handmaid Hagar, and the progenitor, or the father, of the Arabian peoples. So even the so-called Arabs, they know that they come out of Ishmael, and that Ishmael is a progenitor or the father of the Arabian people, not the Edomites. Because you have that area that's known as so-called Saudi Arabia. You know, you had Hamites that lived there. You had Ishmaelites that lived there. You know, there was a whole plethora. You had the Moabites that lived in those areas. You had the Edomites that lived in those areas, but they were all different people. They weren't all the same people. Now, going back here, matter of fact, one more, Galatians 4:25. For this Agar, which is Hagar, the mother of Ishmael, is Mount Sinai in Arabia. So on both the Old and New Testament, it identifies these Ishmaelites with the so-called Arabs. All right, it has nothing to do with Esau, Arabia, a desert or barren, a well-known peninsula of Asia lying towards Africa and bounded by Egypt, Palestine, Syria, Mesopotamia, Babylonia, the Gulf of Arabia, the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, and the Indian Ocean. So these are the Arab people, the Ishmaelites. And there were 12 sons of Ishmael. All right, when you read Genesis, the 25th chapter, it gives you the 12 sons of Ishmael. And they became 12 princes. They became a great people. But they are not the Israelites. And they are not the Edomites. You got to get that through your thick skull. All right, so it says, a people who inhabited northern Arabia and the southern Levant in antiquity, their settlements most prominently the assumed capital city of Rakhmu, present-day Petra, Jordan. And the reason why Esau is saying that is because they're the people that were in that region, in that area at the time. And you have a, trying to think of the name, a historian. I'm trying to see if I can remember where that was, because I knew that this was going to be kind of a little all over the place because it's so much information. You're just trying to condense it to the points. But there was a historian by the name of Strabo, and he's one of the ones that identified the Nabateans with the Edomites, but they're not the Edomites. And these devils keep pushing that crap today. Anyway, going back. Now let's jump down to, it says, gave the name of the Nabateans to the borderland between Arabia and Syria, from the Euphrates to the Red Sea. They're loosely controlling trading network which centered on strings of oases that they controlled. And by the time they came on the scene and conquered those areas, Esau was already in those lands, in those areas. The Edomites are already in those lands. It says they maintained territorial independence from their emergence in the 4th century BC until Nabatea was conquered by Trajan in 106 AD, annexing it to the Roman Empire. Nabateans' individual cultures easily identified by their characteristics, blah, 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 blah. Now let's jump down to here. It says the origins, right? The Nabateans were one among several nomadic tribes who roamed the Arabian desert, moving with their herds to wherever they could find pasture and water, so on and so forth, all right? Historical, religious, and linguistic evidence identify them as a northern Arabian tribe, all right? Now let's jump down here. Unlike the rest of the Arabian tribes, the Nabateans later emerged as vital players in the region during the times of prosperity. However, they later faded and were forgotten. The brief Babylonian captivity of the Hebrews that began in 586 BCE opened a minor power vacuum in Judah prior to the Judeans' return under the Persian king Cyrus the Great, who reigned 559 through 530 BCE. As the Edomites moved into open Judean gazing lands, Nabatean inscriptions began to appear in the Edomite territory. So now you're starting to see why they started to appear in these areas. So that means that since the Nabateans are Arabs, then the Edomites are Arabs also, because they were in that territory. See the whole mind fuckery that these devils do? It says the first definite appearance dates from 312 to 313 BCE, when they were attacked at Silla, or perhaps at Petra, without success by Antigonus I. All right, so I'm not going to read any more on that. I'm just going to keep jumping around like the House of Pain. All right, let's go to, let's see. Let's go here. This is under Edom, right? We're just going to jump around here a little bit. It says, Edom is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, and it is also mentioned in a list of Egyptian pharaohs. Seti the first from circa 1215 BC. They were a Semitic people, which they are Shemitic, who probably arrived in the region around the 14th century BC. Archaeological investigation showed that the country flourished between the 13th and the 8th century BC. Oh, by the way, this is going to be a boring lesson to most people, so if you scoffers are here, you can move on, because this is not going to be a very interesting lesson unless you're really into the scriptures. And was destroyed after the period of decline in the 6th century BC by the Babylonians. After the loss of the kingdom, the Edomites were pushed westward toward southern Judah by nomadic tribes coming from the east. Among them were what? The Nabateans. So the Nabateans conquered, after the Babylonians sacked them, the Babylonian Empire sacked them, they also kept moving Esau further and further away. And this is why the Nabateans, or Ishmaelite nation, inhabited Petra and those lands and those regions in there, who first appeared in the historical annals of the 4th century BC and already established their own kingdom in what used to be Edom. Why? Because once the Babylonians conquered them, the Babylonian Empire conquered them, these Nabateans also came in there and started pushing Esau further and further away from that region. All right. Let's see. All right, now let's see what else we have. Is there anything else here of interest? Yeah, here we go. Strabo, writing around the time of Jesus, dealing with Yahushai, held that the Idumeans, who he identified as Nabateans' origin, which is bullshit, because the Nabateans were the ones that came in there, the Ishmaelites, and after Nabonidus, which was one of the kings of the Babylonian Empire, pretty much put an end to the Edomite state, so to speak, moved them out of that. These Nabateans, or Ishmaelites, also came up in that area. Said constituted the majority of the population of Western Judea, where they commingled with the Judeans and adopted their customs. A view shared also by some modern scholarly works, which consider Idumeans as of Arab or Nabatean origins, which is total bullshit. You see? But this is the mindfuckery of Esau. Now I'm trying to get... Here we go. This is also under Edom, the Edomites, right? Let's jump down. It says, as a Syrian vassal, Edom had retained some of its independence, but when the Syrians had been superseded by the Babylonians as leaders of the Near East in the last quarter of the 7th century, things started to change. Judah was the first to be converted into a province. King Nebuchadnezzar did this in 587 and deported the Jews to Babylonia in the 5th year. Ammon and Moab were annexed, and they give you some quotes from the Flavius Josephus. It seems that during the Babylonian captivity of the Jews, which is traditionally dated to 587 to 539, the Edomites looted Judah and settled in the northern Negev. Maybe as a retaliation, Edom was invaded by the Babylonian king Nabonidus in 553. He even proceeded further to the south to the Arab town Timnah, blah, 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 blah. So they were invaded by Nabonidus, which was a king of Babylon, right? It says the Arab tribe of the Nabateans invaded Edom and seized power. So from that point, the Nabateans took over that land, that region, which were Ishmael. Pretty much, just to let you know that Nabonidus, which is a king in Babylon, and also the Nabateans conquered the Edomites, all right, and got up in those lands. All right, so that's just to clear that up. Now let's go real quick to Genesis 25:25. It says this is dealing with the birth of Esau. It says, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they call his name Esau. Now, when we go to the name Esau, Ishar or Ishashwa, they say that it means hairy. It does not mean hairy. The name Seir or Sha'ir means hair or hairy. The name Esau means wasted away is he, and that's why it's a compound word, Ishashwa. And you're not going to find it in the blue letter. You know, you have to go really to really get the total understanding of that, of the breakdown of the name Esau. You have to go to the Ben Yehudi compact or the Ben Yehudi English Hebrew English dictionary, and it breaks in. And when you look up the word Ishash, it tells you that it's wasted. And whenever you see a Y at the end of a Hebrew word that's not connected to the word itself, it's he. So wasted he, Ishashwa, wasted he, or Ishar, wasted away is he. It says, eldest son of Isaac and Rebekah and twin brother of Jacob, sold the birthright for food when he was hungry, and the divine blessing went to Jacob, progenitor of the Arab peoples, which is a goddamn lie. Because we just read here that Ishmael, Yashmai Allah, son of Abraham and Sarah's handmaid Hagar, and the progenitor of the Arabian people. So how in the fuck can he be the progenitor of the Edomites and the progenitor of the Arabian people? It's retarded. Let's see if we could do like a little test. Let me see something. What people let's see what it comes up. Ishmaelites. Oh my goodness, check this out. According to the book of Genesis, Ishmaelites, Arabic, are the descendants of Ishmael, the eldest son of Abraham, and the descendant of the 12 sons and princes of Ishmael. From the 9th century BC onward, there are external records of peoples using Ishmaelites as an ethnonym to describe themselves. Two of these, Kedarites, which are Quadarites, and Nabateans, were also named after sons of Ishmael. Matter of fact, let's go back here. Let's look up the names of. Let's see, where are we at? All right, so we got Genesis 25:12. Now these are the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bare unto Abraham. And these are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth and Kedar, which you get the word Quadar from. All right, and that's where these particular people, where are they? The Kedarites come from Quadar, you know. All right, now let's go back. Let's see, where are we at? Kedar and Abdiel and Mibsam and Mishma and Duma and Maasah, Hadar and Tema, Jeter, Naphish and Kadima. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their towns and by their castles, 12 princes according to their nation. All right, and that's pretty much all that it says. Now let's go back here. It says two of these, the Quadarites and the Nabateans, were also named after sons of Ishmael. The original sequence of events, who called whom, which name first, and how this relates to the tradition of Abraham as a patriarch and forefather is unclear. Even today, many call upon Ishmael as their people's ancestors, notably Muslim Arabs. All right. Let me see something. Let's try it this way. Who are Ishmael's descendants today? Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just trying to look through this a little bit. Well, yeah, they are the Ishmaelites, so-called Arabs, but of course you had 12 sons, and they became great. You know, just like you had Ham. You know, Ham had 4 sons, and they became 4 nations, and out of those nations came other nations, but they will all go back to who? To the Hamites. Let's see. All right, it's not really giving a whole lot. You know, I didn't get a chance to proofread any of this, so, you know, this is just, you know, through the Spirit. Let's see. Is the Arab nation descended from Ishmael? See, I am tempted to give you a short answer and just reply no, but that would not be completely true. The evidence is too complex to give such an answer. On the other hand, it's amazing how many Christians just assume the answer to be yes. A popular old reference Bible calls Ishmael the progenitor of the Arabs and goes on to say that Muhammad came from the line of Ishmael. That is very definitely untrue as well. The truth is that the term Arab designates people of diverse ethnic origins, which is true because the term Arab is in the Hebrew means Arab, which means mixed, who are united only by the Arabic language and culture. So, but the sons that came out of Ishmael, they all are Ishmaelites. They all are so-called Arab people. You know, but throughout the ages, there's been so many mixes and so many moving around that it's hard to identify every single one. But they all go back to the origins of Ishmael. All right. So now where are we at? Okay, we read that. Okay, we went through that already. Now, when we read here in our first Maccabees, the 5th chapter, right? Let me see what verse was that real quick. All right, the 25th verse. Which you're going to go back up above that a little bit. Now, just to quickly mention, this book here, First Maccabees, the 5th chapter, this is where that dickhead, you know, these wacky-tacky Christians, right? I'll say it that way. Tried to use it. They say that the Apocrypha is not inspired. It is not a dogma. It's not this. Is not that. But yet they try to use this, right, to say that Edomites were all destroyed here. The book of Obadiah was fulfilled here, and I'm gonna show you the deception real quick before we get into the rest of this. Now it says, then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Idumea, right, at Arabatine, because they besieged Gael, and he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils. Now when we jump to the 5th verse, it says he shut them up, therefore, in the towers. They're assuming that this is talking about the Edomites. He shut them up therefore in the towers, and encamped against them, and destroyed them utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire, and all that were therein. But this is not talking about Esau, because when you read the book of First Maccabees, the 5th chapter, these were different wars that Judas Maccabees and the Israelites were fighting against these different nations. and they were given accounts of different situations that were happening back then, and all the different wars that Judas Maccabees and the Israelites were involved in. This happened to be one. When we jump to the 4th verse, also he remembered the injury of the children of Ben, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, and that they lay wait for them in the way. Now, this thought is gone. The new thought is what? The children of Ben. He remembered the offense that the children of Ben did unto the people of Israel, and this is what he did. He shut them up. Who? The children of Ben. Now, who are the children of Ben? They are Bedouins. You know, they could more than likely be so-called Arabs, you know, so-called Ishmaelites, or they could be one of those other tribes that were among them. Nevertheless, they're Bedouins. When we look it up, Ben, children of Ben, children of, it says a tribe apparently of predatory Bedouin habits, retreating into towers, so on and so forth. So they were nomads of that land. So when Judas Maccabees, after he finished fighting with Esau, he started fighting with the children of Ben, and these are the ones that he burnt up in the towers. So this is the deception of these devils. They'll say that this book is not inspired, but then they'll use the book to try to make their point. But then when you look at and you scrutinize what they're saying, it's not even matching what they're saying. You know, I just wanted to make that, observation real quick that I made earlier. Now, we jump down to the 24th verse. Judas Maccabeus also and his brother Jonathan went over Jordan and traveled 3 days' journey in the wilderness, where they met with the Nabathites. Now, these are the Nabateans, all right? And they met with them, who came unto them in a peaceable manner. So they were bringing peace tidings just to let them know what was going on with their brothers, and how their brothers got slaughtered, the Israelites, and told them everything that happened to their brethren in the land of Galaad. And they were breaking it down to them. So they made a peace agreement with Judas Maccabees and them. All right. Now, Salaki brothers, I know it's all over the place, but that's just the way it's the Spirit has it coming out. Now the other one is 1 Maccabees 9, and I'll start at 34. And this again, these are different wars that the children of Israel are fighting against the heathens. It says, which when Bacchides understood, he came near to Jordan with all his host upon the Sabbath day. Now Jonathan had sent his brother John, a captain of the people, to pray his friends the Nabathites. So the Nabateans were friends, with Israel. They were cool. Just like you had the Gibeonites, which were Hamites, that were the ones that deceived, or actually came with deception to, I believe it was to Joshua, if I'm not mistaken, and they were saying that they came from a long journey, and then they had the moldy bread and all that. They feigned like they came from a far country, but they were actually living in that area. And when they found out that was so, they made them hewers of wood and drawers of water. They made them servants. And later on, when I believe it was Saul and them destroyed them when he wasn't supposed to, King David gave some of King Saul's sons to them for revenge, because there was a pact there. Said, no, you can't mess with these people because we made a pact with them. So this is kind of sort of along the line with these Nabateans. They made a league with Jake back then. All right? And they were ruling down in Petra, down in that area, but they were also ruling up in Syria, in a place called Damascus. Okay? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, this is the reason why. Because when I read this, I'm not sure if it was this or something else I read. It brought to mind the Apostle Paul, right? I'm gonna start at the 2 Corinthians 11:30, right? It says, "If I must needs glory, I will glory of the things which concern mine infirmities. The power and Father of our Lord Yahushua, which is blessed forevermore, knoweth that I lie not. In Damascus, the governor under Aretas, the king, kept the city of the Damascenes with a garrison, desirous to apprehend me." Now Aretas which was a king of this region, Damascus. Let's get this over here. This is in Syria, Damascus, right? The Damascenes. This term Aretas was a common title for the kings of that region, and these kings were Nabateans. They were so-called Arabs, and in this case, we had a friendship with them, so to speak, right? But in this case, the Apostle Paul was let down by a window because this particular king and his garrison was trying to apprehend him for the gospel's sake that he was teaching. So in Damascus, the governor under Aretas, the king kept the city of the Damascenes with the garrison desirous to apprehend me, right? And through a window in the basket was I let down by the wall and escaped his hands. So this was taking place here in this region. Now, let's go to the name Aretas, right? The king. And then we read Aretas, graver, an Arabian king. It says down here, a name common to many of the kings of Arabia, Petra or Nabatean Arabia. See, so this all ties back into the Ishmaelites, and it all ties back into these people that we read about called the Nabateans, which were a separate people from the Edomites. It says an Arabian king Aretas the fourth. So you had different ones. Now it doesn't specify which Aretas this was, but there was a succession of kings that used that title, just like Ptolemy the first, Ptolemy the second, Ptolemy the third, just like Seleucus the first, Seleucus the second, Antiochus the first, Antiochus the second. Those are all titles. A pharaoh, Caesar, Kaiser. Those are all titles that were used by these different kings. But this happened to be a title of Nabatean kings. All right? And hey, I pray, the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shah, that this lesson is edifying. It's just trying to get to the point of who these Nabateans were and that they were not Edomites. They were actually Arab people. They were Ishmaelites. More than likely, they were Ishmaelites. And if they weren't Ishmaelites, they were another one of those tribes. They could have been Assyrians. They could have been Syrians, But they definitely were not no goddamn Edomites. Because they came into that and took over that land from Esau. When the king of the Babylonian Empire at the time, Nabonidus, came and sacked them. All right? So like I said, I pray this is edifying. It's kind of all over the place. But, that's how history is sometimes, And, okay, we read that. And, okay, we went through the line of Ishmael. Now let's go back to Esau. And this is why you got to watch this devil. Ishar, which is Esau, eldest son of Isaac and Rebekah, and twin brother of Jacob, sold the birthright for food when he was hungry, and the divine blessing went to Jacob, progenitor of the Arab people, which is a total goddamn lie. And then we read about Ishmael, right? Yashemai Allah, son of Abraham and Sarah's handmaid Hagar, and the progenitor of the Arabian peoples. So what is it? Is he the progenitor of the Arabian people, or is he the progenitor of the Edomites? Because the Ishmaelites came way before Esau. Because you had Abraham, then you had Isaac, then you had Jacob. Jacob had two sons, Jacob and Esau. That came down the line. So how can he be the progenitor? How can Ishmael be the progenitor of the Arab people, but then Esau is also the progenitor of the Arab people? See? And this is where the deception comes, because when you type in, let's go to Arabia map. Let's go to images. See, this is considered, I'm trying to see if I can get a big map. Let me see if I could get let me see if I can get a better one. Salakia. All right, here we go. Here we go. Arabia, right? Now, when you look at this map here, this right here is the Red Sea. This is the Gulf of Suez. This is the Gulf of Aqaba. All right? This is the Persian Gulf. You have Iraq up here. Then you have these two rivers here coming down. This one is the Euphrates. This one is the Tigris. You got Iran over here, Iraq. In this desert land, you had the Ammonites living here. You had the Moabites living here. You had the Edomites living here. Then you had on this side where you had the land of Canaan, you had the Canaanites living in these regions. So you had a lot of different people living there. So does that mean because the Moabites lived so close to Esau that they were Edomites also? No. But this is the deception of Esau. And that's why it says, let's go real quick to 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So we're not ignorant of their devices. And they've deceived the world so much that anything they say, people just accept it. But this is a new day. You know? This is a new day. The truth is out. And there's nothing that Esau could do to stop it. You know, no matter what he tries to do, he can't stop it. You know, so I was sick of hearing that the Nabateans are Edomites and this, that, and the other, and that the Arabs, you know, Edomites are Arab people. So I just wanted to do like a little lesson on the Nabateans. You know, like I said, I pray it's been edifying. You know, it's been kind of like little all over the place, but the gist of the lesson, you know, is that the Nabateans are not Edomites. That during the time of King Nebuchadnezzar, he brought a war against the Edomites, and the Nabateans also pushed the Edomites out of there, further out of their land, and took over those regions. That's why today, when you go to the Nabateans, it says that it says that they assumed capital city of Rakhmu, present day Petra. All right, so they took that. They took this land, Rakhmu, which you can see there, you know, with the that's, you know, the famous land of Petra, where you go see Petra, and you have these different carvings, you know, of different pictures, and the structure of the ancient Roman Empire, because the Edomites are Romans, they are Greeks, and you see the styled Greek and Roman structures of these buildings, which was carved onto the outside of this mountain. All right. So with that, I'm gonna end the lesson there. You know, I pray it was edifying. And if I have any other information dealing with this, you know, Lord's will, I bring it out. So to the next time, I say shalom.